Welcome to Joke Story Trick Live with Michael Kent. I'm him. Let's go. We've got Jason Ladanye on the show tonight. I am super excited about that. He's one of the best card magicians out there. And it's Groundhog Day, which is kind of the dumbest thing ever, in my opinion. I mean, I get it. It's tradition. But a groundhog seeing its shadow has very little scientific link to meteorology. And I think the movie Groundhog Day is probably the only good thing about it. I don't even know. Did the groundhog see its shadow? I don't even know. You can tell me in the comments. I'm going to say hello to some people. We have a few first-timers here. We have Randy, who's a first-timer. Hannah. Hello, Hannah. And we have, there was another first-timer. Who was the other first-timer? Say hello. Susan. Hello, Susan. We've got lots of people in. Along with some of the regulars, we've got Mitch.
Money-making Mitch.
And Andrew.
Andrew.
And we've got Tony.
My name is Tony Montana.
And, of course, we have Taylor.
To the plate.
And Cameron's here.
Here's where Cameron goes berserk.
Lots of regulars, and I appreciate that. While you all are telling me whether or not the groundhog saw its shadow, and hello, Mariah. I see you as well. Mariah is new. I'm going to tell you about my new weekly podcast. It's called Tell Me What to Google. Tell Me What to Google is, listen, every week a listener calls in. They tell me something they recently learned from the internet, and then I do a deep dive about that thing. In the current episode that released yesterday was pretty great. It was about the royal family and a band documentary. You can listen to that by going to tellmewhattogoogle.com or just search for Tell Me What to Google wherever you get your podcasts. So let's see. Hey, Nathaniel Moore, good to see you as well. Lots of regulars tonight, and I do appreciate everyone checking in. Fake Dispatch says it did see its shadow, which means 6 more weeks of winter. I feel like even if it didn't see its shadow, there's still going to be winter. Listen, it's really bad outside right now. I paid a neighborhood kid to do my driveway because I have a bad shoulder. I can't do my own driveway anymore. So that's what 42 is like, apparently. Anywho, 6 more weeks of 2020, says Fake Dispatch. That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in. I've got a great show for you tonight, and that is all going to start with a little bit of stupid news. Well, it's Groundhog Day, and this year celebrations were held virtually. This just means if Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow, he just needs to adjust his ring light. A Bavarian sausage company has reopened after a misunderstanding with the health department. The inspectors reported that they entered the factory and quickly left because it was a sausage fest in there. In Tokyo, a man offering rent a person who does nothing service has received endless requests. This idea wouldn't be popular in America. We all just got done with 4 years of paying someone who does nothing.
Boom. Roasted.
And in the UK, a goat farmer has been offering Zoom meetings with goats and has made £50,000. £50,000. That's $68,000. Buy goat. And finally, apparently billionaires are blaming the GameStop surge on COVID stimulus checks. One billionaire interviewed said, "We expect them to use the checks to make money the way that everyone does. Buy video conferencing farm animals." This has been your stupid news. The stupid news. Always a good time. If you're watching on YouTube tonight, do me a favor and click that subscribe button. Make sure to also click the little bell next to it. That way you'll never miss a show. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitch, please do the same and follow or subscribe. Every set of eyes helps, and I greatly appreciate it. And now, let's teach you how to magic.
Taste me how to
Magic.
Taste me how to
Magic.
Taste me how to
Magic.
You ain't messing with my
Magic.
I'm going to teach you how to do a magic trick with silverware. So you're going to need silverware for this. Do it next time you go out to dinner, whenever that is. maybe just at home. I don't care. You get a spoon and you need a second extra little thing that I'll show you in a bit. But you're going to hand that spoon to them, say it's just a normal spoon. If it's your own spoon in your home, they already know it's a normal spoon. You're going to concentrate right on the very center of it, right here. Just watch the spoon. Watch the spoon. And it's going to seem as if it becomes soft in the middle. It's going to seem like that spoon's getting soft in the middle and bending and bending and bending and bending. And then right back to normal. And you can hand them the spoon. They can see it's not soft metal. It's actually real metal. What they don't know is that you also have a nickel. All you need for this is a nickel and a spoon. So you take the spoon, you show them the normal spoon, okay, and you've got this nickel in your other hand, and you're going to place that right between your finger, your first finger, and your thumb. And from a distance, that looks like a nickel. If you're really close, kind of hide all of it, but just the edge. And use a nickel because it doesn't have the ridges. It looks just like the edge of a spoon, okay? I mean, that looks pretty close, you know? So then what you do is you hold it right in front of the spoon, okay? Now, there are a couple ways you can do this. Some people like to do this. And then you just pivot. You hold the nickel and you pivot. Let's show it this way. You pivot the spoon inside your hand. I like to do it like this. I put all these fingers here, and then I pivot it that way. And that way it kind of looks the same. That way you don't have to do this. You just sort of do this, right? And then use the tabletop and push down on the tabletop to look like you're bending the spoon. And you can even show it from this direction, and because this is going down your wrist and it hides it, you can show it from that direction, and then you quickly hand it back to them, hide the nickel, give them the spoon, and that's all you need to do. Listen, I understand that some of y'all like to get wild, and if you like to get wild and you're a crazy type of person, get crazy and
use a fork.
That was weird. Anyway, if this worked, I have just taught you how to magic.
Taste me how to
Magic.
Taste me how to
Magic.
Taste me how to
Magic. You ain't messing with my
Magic.
All right. Oh my God. Use a fork. Do what you want. I love reading the comments during the show. It's like one of my favorite things about the show. And Josh in the chat says, if you really want to go crazy, use a spork, which you can do. Good luck finding a spork that matches a nickel. That's the hard part of that one. And if there is such a thing, I'm going to go buy a dozen of them. It's time for a joke. All of the organs of the body were having a meeting. They're trying to decide who was the one in charge. I should be in charge, said the brain, because I run all the body's systems, so without me, nothing would happen. I should be in charge, says the blood, because I circulate oxygen all over, so without me, you'd all waste away. I should be in charge, said the stomach, because I process food and I give all of you energy. I should be in charge, said the legs, because I carry the body where it needs to go. I should be in charge, said the eyes, because I allow the body to see where it goes. And then the rectum says I should be in charge. I'm responsible for waste removal. All the other body parts laughed, and the rectum, he insulted. In a huff, he shut down tight. Within a few days, the brain had a terrible headache. The stomach was bloated. The legs got wobbly. The eyes watery, and the blood was toxic. They all decided that the rectum should be the boss. The moral of the story? Even though the others do all the work, it's usually an asshole that's in charge. Now, it's time to choose a completely random joke from one of my old joke books. Let's use, who we're going to use tonight? Fake Dispatch. The job is, oh no, we used you last week. Let's use Cameron. Cameron's watching.
Here's where Cameron goes berserk.
We're going to bring up the wheel of jokes. These are all joke books that I own. They're all old joke books and they're horrible. I'm going to spin the wheel. Here it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. We're going to land on a joke book and it's going to be good clean. All right. This might be the worst one of all the bunch. You were going to pick page 82. Too bad it's Cameron's choice tonight. And Cameron, there are 292 pages. 292, Cameron. So tell me, this book is horrible. I gave this book to my friend's daughter. I'm like, here's a joke book. And she started reading through it. This was like last summer. She started reading through it. And she's like, I don't get any of the jokes in here. None of them make sense. That's how bad this is. Kids don't understand the jokes. So just tell me a page somewhere in here. Cameron going once. Cameron going twice. 243. Okay. 243 is the number that Cameron chose in the chat. So here it is. I'm just reading this fresh. The topic is some can, some can't. The inmates of a prison had a joke book they all had memorized. The way they recited the jokes was by the number of the joke. Some fellow would call out a number from 1 to 100 and all would laugh. A new man in the prison, after studying the book, said he wanted to tell a joke. They said, okay, shoot. He said number 20, but nobody laughed. He said, this is funny. What's wrong? Why aren't you laughing? A fellow nearby said, some can tell them and some can't. Stupid.
Fool this man!
Not a great joke. I blame Cameron on that. But that's okay because he helped write the stupid news tonight, so it's totally fine. Let's move on to the next segment, which is our story. Well, tonight's guest is an amazing card magician who's a regular at the Chicago Magic Lounge and the Magic Castle in Hollywood. When he's not performing, he's consulting, teaching, and lecturing all across the world. Many magicians consider him one of the best card handlers alive today. Please welcome Jason Ladanye to the show. Hey, Jason, what's going on, man?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I've been having fun listening to your material so far.
It's pretty bad. The jokes are pretty awful. But I've been, when this is going on here, there's another screen here. And it's been set up while you were doing, I don't know, you were running errands and stuff during the beginning of the show. And I'm watching your dog run back and forth in the shot. It was a beautiful dog. What kind of dog is that?
That is a German Shepherd, right? Pure, 100% purebred. And he was trained by the same trainer that does all the New York State police dogs, the canine units. And stuff.
That's amazing. Is German commands?
Well, he came with a couple commands, but since we didn't want to invest in all, he knows. Look at this.
He knew you were talking about.
He knows we're talking about him.
Hey, buddy.
Since we didn't want to worry about learning these different commands and such, we just kept everything in English, and we're good to go.
So for those
moving anytime soon,
that's good. That's good. For those who might not be able to tell, and if they're watching on their phone or something, they can't tell. That entire bookcase behind you. That's just decks of cards. How many decks of cards would you say there?
There are about 3,000 on that shelf, from the top to the bottom, and that bottom one's all bricks from the front to the back.
Not even open.
I also have there's another 300 or 400 right here. There's probably another couple thousand over there, and then in the basement I have some bricks, gross, and more bricks down there that I just don't want to run out.
I don't think you could use that many in your lifetime.
Well, I've got a short story for you, and that is
what a great segue.
In 2005, I quit the as a musician touring, and I switched over to magic. And this isn't a good story; it's just a short one. But
okay, so would we call this a bonus story?
Yeah, this is just a little mini. This is a teaser.
Okay.
But the gist of it is, I started booking more magic shows, and all of a sudden I realized I had like 3 shows next week or something, and just kind of happened where I was like, oh wow, I got a bunch of shows next week. And I looked and I had like 7 decks of cards. And I remember thinking like, that ain't gonna cut it. So I went to the wholesale store, the local BJ's Sam's Club kind of place, and they didn't have any cards. So I had to go to like CVS, and I bought like 5 or 6 decks to be able to do the show. And it was a really nerve-wracking feeling not being able to practice or rehearse, not ruining these cards, and feel like, am I going to be able to make it? So that gave me some traumatic PTSD, and I decided that I am going to go to the store and buy as many decks as I can. So I used to go and buy $500, $600, $700 at a pop.
My gosh.
And then the next part of the story is every time I would leave BJ's, that stupid guy would sit there and he'd grab that receipt and be like, huh, playing poker tonight? And now that was funny. The first time it's like, no, it's just, it's cool.
Right.
And like 6 months later, he's like, playing poker tonight? And I'm like, yeah, it's the same. You told that one last time.
Yeah, right.
And then every 6 months or whatever like that, man, he thought that was the best joke ever every time he punched that receipt. And it was like Groundhog Day. I would just kind of, I'd be dreading the poker. Yes, it's for poker, that kind of thing. Now, that's the end of that story. It wasn't that good, but that's story.
Chris in the chat wants to know how many decks you generally go through given a normal week. Like a normal non-COVID week, we'll say.
It all depends on my schedule, really, because if I've got a couple lectures coming up and a couple shows or whatever, I'll burn through more, obviously. And if there's nothing in the books, then I'll probably go through less. But basically, the reason why I buy so many is because I want that feeling that they're just an endless, bottomless pit kind of a feeling. That way, I'm not having that feeling where, I don't want to practice palming or faro work because I want to preserve these decks. I practice them, chuck them out or whatever.
Yeah. So
in a year, I typically go through about 700-800, and I know that for a fact because I do my taxes, and that's 700-800 decks is a write-off, and that's about what it is.
That's a few $1,000s. That's insane. That's awesome.
700-800 decks that I go through in a year. And I will say that when I do walk around, I ruin a lot more because a lot of the tricks that I do are signed, torn. The card tricks get mutilated as I'm performing mercury folds and things. So a walk around show, I really dump through them a lot. And then in a formal performance, I always give the decks away as a souvenir. It's kind of a signature thing. At the end of the show, I say, thank you very much for helping me. These are yours as a souvenir. Proves to the audience the real cards. And it's just a nice, genuine thing to do.
Absolutely.
These are yours. So I'm always giving them away at the shows as well. So that's why I burn through so many decks of cards.
That's great. Are there any tricks that, this is a question from the chat, are there any tricks that work better with a worn deck of cards?
No, I am a guy that prefers brand new right out of the box. I used to be that had that mindset that, I like to break them in first so they're not so slippery and whatever. But I broke out of that right away, and I prefer cards that are brand new right out of the box.
Yeah. That's awesome. And the bonus there is that you can go anywhere in the world, and if you don't have cards, it's reasonable to believe that you could buy some cards and be very comfortable with them because they're not your broken in cards; they're brand new cards.
I've been in that situation several times. I've been at gigs before, music gigs, on where I'm finishing up, and somebody brings up the topic of cards, and I'll pay somebody to go across the street in a CVS and buy a deck of cards, and then everyone knows they're legitimate playing cards, and I'll grab a pool table and do a whole 45-minute show right there with one essentially borrowed deck of cards that someone else brought. And that just really is something else, because I love that line when people say, you can't do any tricks because you don't have your fancy cards with it,
Right.
And so I say, here, go across the street, buy some cards, I'll do some tricks for you.
That's awesome.
And it just proves that you can, sleight of hand is there,
Sure. So I brought you on the show tonight to tell us a story, and we've already got a bonus story, which is awesome. So I can sleep happy now. But tell us a story, Jason.
All right. So this one, on stage, I have a bit of my character's really full of himself. And they say that your stage presence, your stage character should be based off yourself. So I do have, believe it or not, have a little bit of an ego, but it's well-deserved. I mean, look at me, right? So anyway, I remember I lived in New Orleans for a while. I lived there for a year or so. And I was still studying with Darwin at the time. And what I used to do is walk around downtown New Orleans, Decatur Street, and I would just take in the sights, and I would eat good food and enjoy the city. And I would also practice. I was always walking around with a deck of cards practicing. And I remember I was just doing in-the-hand stuff, walking down the street. And there's a lot of prop bet guys out there. Guys that are trying to make a quick buck, and the basic any kind of simple prop bets. And this one guy comes up to me and he says, hey, I bet you $10 I can tell you what street you got them shoes on. And I remember thinking, like, I'm from upstate New York. This guy doesn't know where I bought my shoes. I'm walking into this one hard, and I'm like, all right, so you're saying $10 and you can tell me what, I got these, on Crossgates Mall Road, So, and I remember thinking like, there's no way this guy knows what's true. So I'm like, all right, $10, yeah. And the guy says, you got them shoes on Decatur Street. And I'm thinking, no, I got these in upstate New York, pal. And he goes, no, you got them shoes on Decatur Street. I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, we're on Decatur Street and you got them shoes on Decatur Street. And I'm like, oh, yeah, come on. So I give the guy the $10, right? And then but then I'm thinking, cool. The way I thought of it is cool. I've got my $10. I can do it to other people and give my money back. But he noticed I had a deck of cards. And he said, let me show you something with that deck of cards. And I remember thinking, the first thing I thought was like, oh, this poor guy. He doesn't know that he's about to show a card trick to me. What a sucker. I know everything about a deck of cards. So good luck with your stupid trick, pal. So anyway, he takes the deck, he shuffles it. This is my deck of cards. He takes my deck of cards, shuffles it, puts it in his pocket. And he says, I want you to take your time, think about it, and I want you to name any card that you want to deck. Oh, and I should mention that he gave the cards one cut. I do remember that. I watched him, and after he shuffled, he gave the cards one kind of unusual looking cut where he basically spread off some cards and put the top on the bottom, different than a normal cut. So I thought that might have something to do with it. He asked me to name any card. Now, I remember my card, but what would you have named? Just curious.
7 of spades.
I named the 9 of clubs. That was my card. I'll never forget this. And that's not a common card. The reason I asked you that is because I was curious to see if you'd say the Ace of Spades, Queen of Hearts, 7 of Hearts, that kind of stuff that magicians know about, right? So I knew all that stuff. So that's why I went with the 9 of clubs, because who the hell is going to know ahead of time the 9 of clubs? It's not a hot card. The guy says, bet you $20, I can pull the 9 of clubs out of my pocket. And I remember thinking, all right, what's the word? What's the word in this prop bet that I'm not understanding? And I thought about each word. And he says, you going to take the bet or not? And I'm like, just give me a second, because you got the 10 off me already on the last one. And I remember thinking there's got to be some sort of trick to this. And I just couldn't figure it out. So after 30 seconds or something like that, I said, it's all right, $20, 9 of clubs. And this dude pulls a 9 of clubs out of his pocket.
What?
That's my story. And I gave him $20. And that has haunted me for a long time. Yeah. And the only thing I can think about it is he had potential outs. I don't know what kind of group we're talking with here.
I would say 50% magicians, maybe. So not a lot of non-magicians.
This will be over the heads.
Yeah.
For the most part, little people. I assume that he had other avenues to take, and I may have hit the miracle thing, but if I had named something else, the trick may have gone in a different way. So that's, but come on, $30 in 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
And I have struggled with that. That's been a card problem of mine since 2002, 2003. It was he just took the cards, shuffled them, gave him the cut like this. But it was my deck, so that's why.
And it's your deck, so it's not an index. That's crazy.
Yeah, and also, what are the chances of him having the same deck on him already? There's so many odd things. And he just said, he reached in, took one card out and held it. And I said, you give me, if this is the 9 of clubs, you give me $20.
I love it.
And I thought about it, and he just turned it up, and it was I gave him the money. He earned it. I still have no idea how he did that.
I love it. And not only that, but, as a magician, we get asked a lot, are there magic tricks that fool you? And what a great story to tell about a magic trick that fooled you by someone who wasn't even approaching you as a magician.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the best, that's the best being fooled story you can tell, is that something in almost an everyday life is unexplainable to you, which is awesome.
Yeah. And you know what? As magicians, we rarely get that wonderment bubble.
Sure.
We tend to be so analytical, and we look for things and we go, okay, well, I got that part, but I don't get that part. And I guess I'll figure out where you learn. It's so dry. It's so dry. And remember when you were a kid and you saw magic and it was just like this thing.
Yeah.
Once you become a pro, you don't really get to experience that anymore. You're on the other side, thinking about a lot of things, giving people those feelings. But we're so busy with our characters and booking gigs and the whole learning craft and all of that we forget what these people are feeling and thinking. So to be on the other end of that is just a remarkable.
It's a gift. It's a nice gift to have been given.
Yeah, and you know what? That bubble's never been popped. Like I said, the only thing I can think of is I saw the one miracle and he had other things planned, or some quippy thing he could have said. You know, Jacks are wild. You know, so I don't know, but the way it happened to me, it was just a miracle. And it hit me so hard. It hit me so hard.
That's great. I now want the internet to find this guy.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that's somebody that really is working the streets, and he's doing that stuff all night long, and probably making a couple $100 a night doing that stuff.
If he's fooling, one of the best card magicians out there, then of course he is. So speaking of magic, I can't invite Jason Ladanye on the show and not ask him to perform. So you don't have to do a trick, but part of the joke story trick thing, I always tell guests, you have to tell a story, but if you tell a joke and you tell a trick and go for the trifecta, it's just a cherry on top. So do you want to try one of the others or both of the others? It's totally up to you, Jason.
I'm going to do a trick right now. I don't really follow what the hell you were saying. I'm completely lit. I'm just going to do a trick.
That's good. We're both drinking scotch tonight. I poured a scotch in honor of you. I know you're a big fan of single malt.
So let's try this. Right, Dad? Good boy. All right.
Now, hang on. I can see about just the very bottom of your close-up, Matt, there.
Oh, so. Yeah. We're not.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll get into that. We're just having fun with the dog right now, making sure the dog's in frame.
Okay. The important stuff.
Give me that nose. Give me that snoot. All right. Anyway, let's try something. As a matter of fact, I think it would be fun to come on the show and just teach you how to do a trick. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Good. As a matter of fact, I'll run through it twice. I'll do it once and I'll fool you with it. I mean, obviously. And then I'll run through it a second time and teach you exactly what I did. That way you can do it for your friends. All right? Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, so let's try it. You've heard that line, pick a card, before. Now, obviously, since you're not here, the best we can do is just, I'll spread through like this and you just say stop whenever you want. Okay, so I'll spread slow, just say stop whenever you want.
Stop.
Is this card okay with you, or you want to change it with something else?
It's good with me.
All right, I'll look away. Is this in frame, correct?
Yes.
And you can see what the card is? Remember that card, yes?
Yes.
Good. All right. It's face down. I never looked at the monitor. I just looked at them when I have on the floor. But I will spread down into the deck like this, and I will place your card back in the deck. In it goes. It can't be any fairer than that. And Mike, you have to admit, I haven't even done the trick yet. And you're probably fooled. Now, it's my job to find that card. It's pretty simple. Was your card the 3 of hearts?
No.
It really wasn't the 3. We just did all that with that cocky character, and I didn't get it right.
Nope.
It really wasn't the. This didn't work. What was it? I'm sorry.
It was the 2 of diamonds.
2 of diamonds. For a second, I thought I screwed up. I really thought I thought I screwed up, but then I remembered I don't do that. That's not something I do. So, thank you.
You get the sting for that one.
I know. That's good. Now, I'll show you how I did it. It's very simple. I'll come up to the camera to show you exactly what happened. Before the show started, look what I did. I separated, make sure this is in frame. I separated all of the black cards from all the red cards. See all that?
Yes.
Very simple setup, but let me show you how I took advantage of that to do a card trick. So we'll do it a second time, and I'll show you what to do and what not to do. Okay, fair enough?
Yep.
Good. When I spread through the cards like this, I don't know what card you're going to pick, but if I spread slow enough, I know that it's going to come out of the top half of the deck, so I know it's going to be red. All right, so let's try this one more time. I'll spread slow, say stop whenever you want.
Stop.
Okay, again, I have no idea what the card is. I'll look away. We'll treat it like a real trick, okay? Is that in frame?
Yes.
Good. Now, watch this. All I do is continue to spread down into the black cards and place your card back there. So it really does get lost in the deck. I have no idea what your card is. So that's how the trick works. All you have to do is go through the cards and find that one card that's in the wrong color. Now, if you're going to do this, you can't cut the cards. If you start cutting the cards, that will break up the red-black condition. And you probably could still find the card. But it almost goes without saying, if you're going to do this trick, you can't shuffle the cards. If you were to take the deck and shuffle it like this, that would completely destroy any chance of the setup, we call it, of surviving. So there'd be no way of finding a card. In other words, there'd be no way possible to end up with all the black cards together. There would be no way possible to end up with all the red cards together. That's not possible. and then to still have the card that you selected, the Jack of Diamonds, be the only red card among all of the black cards. That's not possible. So there. Now you know how to do it. Just make sure you don't shuffle the cards, and least I could do is come on the show and teach you how to do a simple trick, right?
I'm leaving. I am fried. I'm absolutely fried. I can't wait to watch it again.
You want to see another one? I'll do a real quick one.
Yeah, please.
No, I'll do a real quick.
Please do.
You want to see my dog appear? It's the easiest trick. You can just get a dog to appear. Good boy. Good boy. That's my appearing dog trick. Cool, right?
Well, if you knew my dogs and how untrained they are, that is a trick, what you just did. I mean, it is. I am jealous of that trick, along with the first one. Yeah, I've got 2 Wheaton Terriers, and they both, there's snow outside right now, and they won't come in. So, dude, that was amazing. And since you didn't do a joke, but you have a dog on, I'm still going to give you the trifecta. Which means, apparently, I have no rules for the joke, story, trick, trifecta. I just give it when I want it, and you've earned it, my friend. So good, so good. Well, there's another part of the show that I want to introduce to you, and it's called "What the Shit Is This?" Jason Ladanye, what the shit is this? So this is a photo of you making a card magically float, and we'll say there just happens to be.
Make sure that people know to zoom in to this to see the point of why this is funny.
I'm gonna see if I can do this. There just happens to be a line on the wall between your hand and that card.
No. 2 lines, because there's the one in front and then the shadow.
Yeah,
so, because that's like 50 pounds test
fishing line.
I mean, like the real stuff, the real deal stuff there.
Well, I don't mean to ask you your age, but was Photoshop a thing back then? Like, what I mean? Like, if it was, you weren't old enough to know how to Photoshop, so you can't be blamed for that.
No, this was well before Photoshop. That's a scanned photo. You can see the fold in the photograph there.
Yeah.
So this is a early promo shot. Probably about 7, 8 years old there. Probably 8.
Wow.
I think.
Were you doing shows 7 and 8?
I went to a magic shop when I was 7 years old, and my mind was just blown up. It started with David Copperfield on TV.
Sure.
Well, actually, the truth is my brother showed me a card trick, and my mind was just blown. That got me into magic to begin with. I checked out some books in my local library, and I still have them.
Which one is that? I'm curious if
the card. This is the checkout thing.
Oh yeah.
1986. I never returned the book, so you can only imagine the
Disney
on this.
Mickey Mouse Magic Book.
Mickey Mouse Magic Book. So I
haven't
checked
seen
this out, and about 5 or 6 other ones, but I mean real good book. This is a little kid's book, but I checked out some really high quality books. There is some just.
Now I had the Dunninger book. I had that one as well.
I have the Dunninger book too.
The Dunninger book was, for a while, the only magic book my library had. And so I would just check out the Dunninger book over and over and over. Yep, that's the one.
This one, these aren't kids' books. I mean, there's some heavy duty material.
Yeah.
So I checked out maybe 5 or 6, 7 books, and obviously I never returned them. But I was learning some real heavy duty material. So as an 8-year-old, I'm doing like Out of This World and really kind of heavy duty stuff. So I had gotten a pretty good start on it, and I was actually doing other kids' birthday parties. I was only charging $10, I think, and to me, $10 was the greatest thing ever, because I could go to the magic shop and buy $10 worth of props and things. So that photo was a business thing. I haven't changed much. Same haircut, same suit. I
wouldn't show a photo that's like an embarrassing childhood photo of a guest without showing one of my own. So this was that, same a little bit. I'm a little bit older than you were in that one. I'm probably, 13 or something, like 12 or 13 here. And yeah, I was, David Copperfield on TV. I wanted to be David Copperfield escaping from the safe inside of the imploding building. So there's me doing that. But I did find something else. I like to scour the web and find stuff about my guests. And so I'm going to present you with this.
Baby,
Oh,
and
boy.
you're a lucky man.
It's the white Kangol.
There we go.
Oh, it's the shirt.
It's the crushed velvet red.
It's the shirt. You really did find something. I'm impressed. I
So-
thought that was buried in the internet. Oh, man.
So that's what I like to do on this show. So you'll see it again here. That is crushed red velvet, and really bearing down into that that song.
Yeah, you did good. I'm
Thanks.
impressed.
Thanks. Tell me about this artist and how you and your journey here.
So this is I can't believe you found that. So anyway, this is 2001, 2002, Austin City Limits. You know who's graced that stage? Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimmy Vaughan, his brother, Jeff Beck, every major guitar player, every major band has been through Austin City Limits, television show there. And part of the thing about being on the road is it's just 24/7, eating at gas stations, travel, performing, and buying clothes and guitar and eating at the best restaurants in town, right? So you get into a town, you go out, you look at the local music store, then you go out and get some good food. You find out if there's any cool clothing stores or whatever like that. And when you're a musician, you have a license to wear ridiculous shit. And you're cool because like, who wants to be up there wearing a t-shirt? You know,
Right.
The roadies wear t-shirts. You got to separate yourself. So to be clear, you said it was crushed velvet, and you are right. But let me just back up for a second, because that was a special shirt. That was zebra print, crushed velvet.
I'm not
And
sure
the-
it came through as zebra print. I need to look at this
zebra
again now.
print, crushed velvet, and the black part of the zebra print is see-through.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that gem cost me probably $5 or something like that. And you want to hear something funny? I still have that shirt.
Oh, you
I
do
could not
not.
get rid of it. Yeah, I couldn't get rid of it. It was just what was I thinking?
It's not.
So there,
It's not in your
No.
closet there, is it?
no, I think it's in I have a plastic tote with all my old.
Is it framed
road
on your
stuff.
wall?
No, it's not. But I have some stories about that shirt.
That's
that are
awesome.
Appropriate for this.
So,
particular show.
If our guests don't know, you are a very accomplished musician and did that professionally before becoming a magician. And you toured with this act, toured and opened for BB King, all over the world. You've performed, and
It's the real deal. Certified rock star status. Jeff Beck, Al Green, Etta
unbelievable.
James, Aretha Franklin.
Wow.
We opened up Ray Charles, Rolling Stone. I mean, Late Night with Conan O'Brien. I thought you were going to get the Late Night with Conan O'Brien clip because I was wearing yet another ridiculous shirt.
Well,
there,
that's
but
what we're all going to look
fortunately-
for after the show.
No, I got lucky with this one because remember it was Late Night with Conan.
Yeah.
And that show was sold. That they don't have the rights to that anymore, and it switched over to Conan, so they had to pull all the old.
So that
Late
would
Night.
be a find. Maybe I'll have to find the old the torrents or something of that. I don't know how that's going to work.
You're going to work hard. So I was wearing like leather pants and like a stupid V-neck gray silver shirt.
Because
it was terrible.
Because
But the-
musician.
yeah, the more ridiculous the clothes were, the better. We always had a competition with like how crazy your clothes would be. But
That's
it
awesome.
fit. That's what everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say. I look. If you wore that to the store, you'd get stoned to death. But when you're in a band, it's like you're cool.
You
At least
can.
I
Yeah, it's
tell it to
licensed.
myself. But anyway.
A couple things briefly before we wrap up here. CM Tango says, greetings, Jason from Mexico, which is cool. And then Fake Dispatch says, exact same hairline. A little bit of jealousy happening there on my part, at least. Mine was quite a bit lower when I started Magic. And then we also had a question about the kind of scotches we're drinking.
Tonight, I am drinking Macallan 15, and I'm a big fan of good scotch. So I don't like Doors and Chivas Regal and things like that. So a lot of questions I get when I do my Ask Me Anything things where I'll post a picture of a glass of scotch. I mean, that's what I do. I pour a glass of scotch and practice for like 5 hours, right?
Love it.
So yeah, it's just it's a therapy for me. It's just like when you sit down and practice piano, you separate yourself from the world and focus on this one thing, and you're improving while you're doing it. So why not enjoy some good scotch while you do it?
I love it.
The secret to finding good scotch is just spend enough money. If you spend a minimum of $80 to $100, if you know nothing about Scotch, just at least take that to the store, and you can get a pretty decent Scotch. Glenmorangie is a good beginner Scotch.
I've got a Glenmorangie in the cabinet upstairs. I'm drinking a Lagavulin 16, and this bottle was a gift from Cameron Zvara, who's watching the show tonight. So thank you, Cameron. Lagavulin 16 for me this evening, which is one of my favorites. I like all the
yes,
the
and
I
also
love
I should
scotches.
mention that Scotch is a bit pricey, but it's not something you drink like 5 glasses of a night. You know, it's a bottle of Scotch can last you a long time. It's just a little bit, and just enjoy it, and it really is something else. And I learned that on the road. The guitar player that I was with taught me not only how to play guitar, but cigars and Scotch and things of that nature. So he kind of molded the person that I am today.
Fantastic. Great to hear. Well, Jason, where can people learn about you? Where can they find out more?
So my website is cardmagicbyjason.com, and on there I have blogs and such where I share a lot of insights and stories, and just kind of a theory-based blog thing where I'll have some insight to share based on some sort of personal experience. So the blogs are a lot of fun for me to write and keep the site kind of fresh, keep you coming back for more. There's a lot of, I always update with videos of recent performances. Obviously with COVID, that's slowed down quite a bit. But that is the website. Coming up, one of my next releases I wanted to mention is live in London. Because we're stuck in this pandemic, I can't perform for people and make product to sell. So I'm kind of stuck with releasing new content. So what I did was I went and bought the rights to a show I did in London a long time ago, back in 2018. And I'm going to release that. So it's
awesome.
Back in the real world.
Wow.
Pre-COVID. And it's so amazing to watch because I'm doing my lecture and I'm like coming up to my mouth, touching my, blowing on my hand, like,
yeah.
and I'm spreading the cards out. He's taking a card and he's touching his face. And I'm thinking as I'm watching it, like,
the world has changed.
Yes. Yeah. How did we live?
Yeah.
So it's
amazing.
It's just funny to see how simple things were. We took all that for granted. But anyway, I'm doing a 2-hour lecture in London, and we filmed it, and it's just absolutely fantastic. The performance of it is just great. And even though it's for 250 magicians, all the content fools them, and it's just hilarious to watch how magicians can fall into the same traps that lay people do. So also on that DVD, I did a kind of a cool thing that I don't think has been done before. I have a Magic Castle set that I released on YouTube last year. Just a 17-minute clip of me at the castle doing 3 tricks. I put that on the DVD, but I did an audio commentary, kind of a behind-the-scenes thing, like the way a director would talk through the scene. And I'm not explaining the tricks, but what I'm explaining is my internal thought process while I'm performing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
I would love to see that.
No, I can't think of anyone that's done that before. So
no.
It really is. Here is what is actually running through my mind as I'm performing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm giving. For example, one thing might be here, and the volume of my voice in the performance goes down, and I come up and I say, here, I realize I'm playing too much to this side of the room. So I'm ignoring the left side of the room. So I can see when I'm performing that, this is when I realized I got to start playing to these people as well. So I constantly go through the whole set and talk about that internal monologue that I have while I'm performing, and to give you some insights in what I'm thinking. I'm certainly not thinking, I got a double undercut, 2 cards from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm thinking on a whole different, I know the trick's going to work. I'm thinking more about the performance and the character.
Sure.
And
that's a great
the biggest
idea.
thing I wanted to mention about that castle set is crowd control. It's a rowdy crowd. So you got to have fun with them, but they also have to see magic. If you have too much fun and banter, the magic gets lost. Too much magic, you're ignoring this opportunity to have fun with the audience. So there's a great balance to that show, and I wanted to talk about some of the things there. So, and the last thing I wanted to plug was my Instagram. I've given up on Facebook. I think you and I both agree that Facebook has just become some sort of political, hey guys, practicing bottom deals today, and the first post is, the election was rigged.
Yeah.
Like, what? And you come back like 20 minutes later and there's a political argument.
Kudos to you for noticing it, because I still fall into the trap on a daily basis. And what is your Instagram? Where can people
I've over the last couple of years, I've given up on Facebook completely. So there's no more contests there. There's no it's just there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've shifted everything over to Instagram, and it really is a better platform. People really do care about the content you post. It's at Card Magic by Jason, and there's a lot of contests, a lot of deck giveaways. That whole top shelf up there, I'm pointing to it right now.
Yeah.
That is all giveaway decks. There's probably about $1,000 worth of playing cards up there, and each week I give those away. And there's a lot of posts that promote conversation about theory and who's your favorite performer. And there's just, in other words, you ask a question and you get the right kind of responses instead of people talking about whatever the hell is going on in our world right now. For some reason, Facebook tends to just go right to that.
Yeah.
So the Instagram is where I'm really focusing all my efforts. And if you don't follow me, please do. And of course, my YouTube channel and everything else.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Jason. Jason Ladanye, I can't wait to see that live in London. I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Go follow Card Magic by Jason on Instagram. Super excited to have him on the show. I want to remind everyone who's watching tonight that this show is kept alive from my Patreon sponsors. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and for that you get all kinds of exclusive content, including be able to watch me perform live magic shows that you wouldn't get to see otherwise. If you're a fan and you want to show it, this is the best way. The link is in the show description. I've had a great time. I really appreciate all the new people coming in tonight, and stay tuned. We're going to get to the last part of the show now, which is the trick. Here it is. Tune in next week. I'm super excited to have WWE wrestler Doug Basham on the show. I'll see you next Tuesday. Hey friends, over the years I've had hundreds of unofficial supporters. Now you can make it official. Join my Patreon, 4 different levels, tons of exclusive benefits, access, behind the scenes, backstage video, access to shows that you normally wouldn't get to see, producer support, credits, shout outs, VIP events, everything you can think of. and you can join for as little as $1 a month. So thank you in advance for your support. I love all of you.